Please welcome Cathy Garret, our Wayne County Clerk.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First of all, to Hester, to the board, and BJ, thank you for allowing me to be here. I wasn't quite sure what Hester wanted me to talk about, and because I've been the clerk I'm in my 4th term, 4 years each, I think that's good. But anyway, I wasn't sure what he wanted me to talk about, and most of the faces in here you've heard and you know personally what it is that the clerk's office is all about. But I know what's hot and burning in my spirit to talk about, and as Hester said, for 13 years now, I've served as the clerk, and I can only speak for myself, but I'm political by the nature of me being elected, but I'm not political in what I do and how I deal in my office. And so this fiasco that we just went through with the hash marks and all of that, if it wasn't for the fact that I stand on truth, and if it ain't written, it ain't so. If the law don't say that you can do it, it's not going to happen. So with all of the attacks, and they were attacks because when you try to just do your thing and be right, and then you hear people maligning you, it's an attack. So what I did, because I only speak on what I know about, first of all. If I don't know, I'm going to be quiet. And the fact what the truth is, what I say, if it ain't in writing, it ain't so. Well, what happened is in writing, and I don't understand how everything, I do understand, but how everything turned to the county clerk. And I'm going to be real open here because you just talked about how millionaires are buying into elections. I don't know if they're millionaires or what. But right here in the city of Detroit with this mayoral election, absolutely that's what's happening. And the bottom line is because it was easier to attack me as the black woman, I do feel, than to deal with those board of canvassers who truly are the individuals that have the power and authority. So it's important because in 2000, I went through a recount in 2000, and I saw at that point how serious the board of canvassers, that's a power base. They're the decision makers with recounts if something is going to be approved or not. So from that point, that's when after I was victorious with my recount, I started going to the source of where it happens. So I have attached here as far as how the board of canvassers come about. Also, in here, there is a sheet that you're referenced to as far as election inspector training that deals with hash marks. That comes from the state of Michigan. Also, from the state of Michigan in their manual for the board of canvassers, again, how hash marks and tallying comes into play. Then we have a job aid that was issued by the City of Detroit Elections Bureau showing again how hash marks come into play. Then we have a letter that was, and someone sent it to me last week, where the new elections director is saying to the poll workers that you tallied the votes up wrong. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's in there. You tallied the votes up wrong, so now you have to come for training, and they want an explanation as to why the votes were tallied up wrong. So I say all that to say, if it's proof in the manuals from the State of Elections Bureau that hash marks are important, it's unbeknown to me how they became unimportant with this fiasco that we just went through. But for Hester and for anyone else, with our congressional chairs, that's the genesis of how the Board of Canvassers become the Board of Canvassers. They serve 4-year terms, but how they come about is the chair of the congressional district submits names, 3 names. But what I've looked at, if you want your person, you put the same name all 3 times. That's what has happened. They submit 3 names to the clerk's office, the county clerk's office. Then in turn, we give it to the Wayne County commissioners. And that is who appoints the people. They vote and decide. So to me, and it might sound like I'm rambling, but that is so important. It's important. So since 2001, every congressional district chair that we've had, every chair of the commission, and I haven't talked to this one that's there now, every chair of the commission, I've tried to talk with them, letting them know the importance of that we get people on here. First of all, you need people that are going to stand up and speak to what they know is wrong rather than just sit there and go along to get along. Then you have to be careful that people don't put their own biases into it. Now, the hash marks are one thing, and why I'm saying that, I don't know if they're millionaires, but they're playing into it. This became my fault. This became the county clerk's fault. Now, I know you've heard of this, it's a PAC Turnaround Detroit. Those things are also filed in the county clerk's office. Well, I happened up in the elections division, and the young lady that deals with campaign finance, she had a conversation, and that's in here too, I believe. They put the emails in here. She had a conversation with the woman at the State Elections Bureau that deals with campaign finance. And what happened is that the people for Turnaround Detroit had come into the county clerk's office in March, and they filed for a regular PAC, which simply means what the importance of it is, you cannot take corporate money. So that was March, they filed it. Then in July, they realized they had made a mistake and filed the wrong type of PAC. So the young lady in my office has spoke with the state, saying just what I told you, and the state let her know that they had similar circumstances, and they just let the individuals do an affidavit, and it's all good. So I said to her, no, you say to the state in writing, ask them, could they be specific into who were those cases for? Could you ask them to direct you where in the Michigan campaign finance law that we're able to do that? And also, since she said that they did an affidavit, could she send a sample of that so that we could do it? So that email is in here where the state says, I misunderstood what you said. I thought that they just made a mistake. We have not had any circumstances like that, so therefore we don't have an affidavit, and there is nowhere in the Michigan campaign finance law that you could do that. So I thought, okay, now, and that was a lesson for her, which if it ain't in writing, it ain't so with me. So, to get to where the money people, well, this attorney out of Washington that was calling on behalf of the Turnaround Detroit folks, and so at that point, I'm not a lawyer, so I turned that over to the county's lawyer. You deal with this. So it's emails that I didn't put in there because it's the attorney. These are irrelevant to the office, so I put it in there. But what the attorney was trying to get the county's attorney to just work with me on this. Well, we can't, because if it ain't in writing, it ain't so. Well, then I get a letter that's attached here that's saying to me that I should recuse myself and my office from the process because that I've made it no secret that who I support as mayor. But I don't know if I'm making sense, but to me, this is deep. It's deep. These are some twisted, connected relationships that where if I wasn't somewhat a conspiracy theorist, I would be one now. And the fact of it is that it's not just a conspiracy, but how does everything that you've done wrong turn to be my fault? I didn't make you come in the office and file for the wrong PAC, so now how is it that the law directs me in what to do, but you want me and my office to recuse ourselves? So the same group went to Ingham County, and they've opened up a super PAC there. So we're continuing to do, in which they said that they're done with us. They wanted to dissolve their campaign. You can't. it's ongoing. You're in the middle of an election season, plus you still have funds in there. I don't know, and it's just, to me, what I have been through since, when was that? A few months ago? Has it been this month? What, August? Since August to now, and the fact, as I said, at looking at how the relationships are connecting, is that if you never thought voting was important, it's very important now. If you never thought getting engaged in what's going on in our community was important, if what you see on the news and read in the paper doesn't make you think it's important now, then I'm praying for you. Then one more thing, what I looked at now, when it's a write-in candidate, you can't retabulate those, because on voting day, it goes through the tabulator, but it's diverted to another part of the machine. Those are taken out. And so the poll workers and precinct inspectors, or whatever you call them, that's when they go through and they look at, okay, so-and-so, Hester Wheeler got 1, Cathy Garret got 2, and so on and so forth. But but that's the only way that you're able to keep tabs on who got the votes, instead of putting one solid number. So the training materials are there, and that's what we did. But what got me is back to why you can't retabulate. And when the state came in here, and again, playing games, saying we're just going to retabulate the ballot. No, you did a recount. That's what you did, was a recount. So they call it what they want to, but what was funny to me, and then let me say, when those individuals are down there in canvas mode, there are no ballots involved. There's the MCL, the law is in here that speaks to that all they can do is take the tally sheets, the poll books, and the tape from the machine. They don't deal in ballots. So for the state to say, well, all they had to do was ask for the ballots and rerun them, okay, so then they would have been doing a recount, as the state calls it, retabulating. So I looked at, and all of this is public information, but they did a recount, retabulation, and at the time that you do recounts, for those of you that are familiar, if a seal is broken or if the seals don't match, those votes are not counted. So you go through what they did, and there's some examples on here, I do believe, where it says not something that didn't match, seal open, Wayne County, because when they did the canvas, and I'll just do this one as an example, it says seal open, Wayne County gave 4 votes because when they looked at the worksheet, they saw 4 stick men. They didn't have the ballots. So when the state did it, they went and used the ballots and they got 26 votes. But my question is, if the seal was open, why did you count them? So it's just a lot of game playing here, and the fact of the matter is that I usually, and when I wound up finally being on Flashpoint, my husband was all upset, but when you stand on truth, it's okay. You can stand strong and you can stand calm. But when one thing Devin Skillion said, he says, well, Cathy Garret normally stays under the radar. You got that right, because I do my job and I'm not seeking cameras out. But this, what is going on, and out of the 13 years, this has been the worst. And the fact of seeing how the state is playing into what's happening here, and the fact of the matter is that individuals that know, okay, you've done the wrong thing, take your lumps and say I was wrong in it. Don't find other people to blame it on.
Madam Clerk, for that background. A lot going on.